A slight shift of Irene's course, a change in the timing, and could all spell trouble. Alan Blumberg is a professor with the renowned Stevens Institute of Technology and lead investigator in the Consortium for Climate Risk in the Urban Northwest. Professor, thank you for coming on. You think, and you and I spoke before the show, that despite the dire warnings, it's going to be a big storm, but it could weaken by the time it hits New York City considerably. Why?
Whether it weakens or not, we're going to have a huge amount of water coming into New York Harbor. The whole business now turns into the timing regarding the tides. We have big high tides coming at 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday and 8 o'clock at night. So if that huge amount of water, let's say 4 to 7 feet, comes into the harbor, at low tide, it won't be so bad. The tide is like a 3-foot wall of water going up and down. That surge could be on top of that tide.
So you believe that the mayor of New York did the right thing in ordering the evacuation of what they call Zone A, which is the lower lying areas around Manhattan?
Right. There would have been no choice, because if we come at high tide, that could be 4 feet plus 3 or 7 feet plus 3. If we come at low tide, it's much different.
So it's likely to get some water into Manhattan?
Without a doubt.
And also the problem, is it not that we had a record rainfall recently? The groundwater is already saturated, and a lot of the New York City water pipes and sewer systems are already not maxed out, but close.
Yeah, I think that the subway systems are going to have a lot of flooding, similar to what happened in 1992. In the Hoboken Pass flooded. I think they were closed down for like 8 days. So we're going to have a lot of water.
What about the tunnels, the Holland, the Lincoln Tunnel? You think those are going to be in jeopardy?
No, I don't think so. I think
they'll be fine?
Better. Yeah, I think they'll be better.
So give us your best case and worst case scenarios, or if you want to, split it right down the middle and sort of the median forecast.
Okay. Right now, high tide is 8 o'clock in the morning. Storm is forecasted to come about 10. If it slows down and comes at 8 o'clock, big problems. If it speeds up a little and comes at, let's say, 11 o'clock in the morning, then we'll have very few problems.
So that's a little bit counterintuitive. So we actually want the storm to speed up?
Yes, that would be the best scenario.
To blow it out?
Right, to have low tide. If that 7 feet of water comes at low tide, it's really a 4-foot addition to the water level.
So it's the timing with the tides, not necessarily the wind speed of just kind of hitting us hard, but getting out faster than a slower moving storm.
Right, that 4 to 7 foot wall of water is coming. How much it floods depends on the tide.
And so best case would be for it to hit New York City around?
11 o'clock in the morning.
11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday would be the best case.
Absolutely.
Very specific, and we like that here on CNBC. Professor Blumberg, thank you for coming in. It was a pleasure. Be safe.
At this point, Hurricane Irene looks like it's going to make a major impact on New Jersey, New York City, and Long Island. Here to give us some historical perspective on New York hurricanes and what we can expect if we do get hit is Dr. Philip Orton. He's a research scientist at the Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken, New Jersey. Dr. Orton, I would imagine that you are tracking this as intensely as our own meteorologist.
Yes. We're concerned about it, very concerned. There's a lot of uncertainty still, and so we'll be watching it.
Now, what do you see as far as when you're looking at it? Does it look like it's aiming directly toward Long Island or New York City?
There's a big range in the predictions from different computer models right now. There's about 8 of them that are used by National Hurricane Center, and some of them have it going inland of Philadelphia, even further toward the west, and some of them have it going offshore of Long Island all the way toward Cape Cod, so it's a lot of uncertainty, but about half of them have it going right through New York City sort of area.
It has been years and years since a hurricane has made a direct hit on New York City. Can you talk about that a little bit? 1821 is the year?
Yes, historically there's only been one that made a direct hit on New York City. In 1821, it tracked very similarly to this one over land a good part of the last 2 days because it also went over North Carolina and then over New Jersey. And it still had enough power, about somewhere between category 1 and 3, I'm not positive, to cause a 10 to 13 foot storm surge in New York City, which would be very devastating.
And that is the big concern, the storm surge. This storm is projected to come through during high tide. How does high tide impact the strength of Hurricane Irene and its impact to those people living along the coast?
If it hit at high tide, which will be Sunday evening, then it would be an extra few feet added on top of what you might expect if it was just mean sea level. Yeah.
So instead of
But you know, the most likely storm surge we're going to see is about, it's actually small. It'd be unusual if we get a 10 to 13 foot storm surge. It's less than a 5% chance. more likely we'll have a small surge or maybe a surge like the 1992 nor'easter that hit, or Hurricane Donna, which went over seawalls by a few feet. And so adding a few feet onto those few feet would make it even more, it could put it over the top of the seawalls.
And wave height as well.
Wave heights on the open shore can add a few feet. They can add several feet onto the storm surge and wash up.
How would you compare Irene to, let's say, Gloria from 1985?
Gloria took the track that further out over Long Island, so it really veered off, and it didn't come very close. The center of it didn't come very close to New York City. So a lot of these storms have moved faster than this one. This one's they're projecting it to move a little bit more slowly than many of those other storms because there's not very strong atmospheric forcing from weather systems coming through. So that's a big difference. This one could come right through New York City.
Definitely concerning when you look at the projected path.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Philip Orton, research scientist at the Stevens Institute of Technology. Thanks for joining us. Coming up.
Irene could cause havoc from the Jersey Shore to Hoboken, where the mayor has asked residents to leave voluntarily. Experts say this could be the perfect storm.
The storm right now is predicted to track up the coast. It's one of our worst scenarios. We have never seen a storm track right up the coast. And so it'll affect Cape May and New York City.
Sand isn't just for playing in. Scientists also study it at the Jersey Shore. Here in Long Branch, researchers from Stevens Institute of Technology use a wave runner equipped with cameras and other devices to study the shoreline. Sand protects homes and businesses along the coastline. Without it, flooding and damage could be far worse. Big storms like Irene can cause a lot of coastal erosion, and that can translate into millions of dollars for the state.
We invest a lot of money in beach nourishment projects for storm protection. And we really need to understand how that sand responds when we get a big storm like Irene.
Because of restoration projects, New Jersey's beaches could afford to lose some sand, so most of the shoreline escaped very serious damage.